Welcome back to week 25, time concepts. What the heck does that mean? I don't even have a watch. All right, guys, how's everything going? Great comments this last week. I'm glad you enjoyed this exercise, and it was a great time to really, again, get yourself moving around the toms, feeling a new, different kind of voicing and all that stuff, and it was really cool, man. So, moving along, I wanted to bring up a really important value, what I call time concepts. This is about being able to play just inside notes. In other words, breaking things up, knowing where the quarter note pulse is, and really feeling strong with your position of some of the notes that stand around that quarter note pulse. Like, in other words, getting your E's together and your U's together of 16th notes, and knowing that they're perfectly placed in the context of where the quarter note pulse sits. So let's take a look at an overview of what we're going to be looking at this week on this time concepts exercise. So the first exercise, I wanted to draw attention to the partials of eighth note triplets. So of course we know that there's a quarter note, absolutely. But what's really challenging is sometimes to be able to play the middle beat of a triplet successfully. Because we're so more conditioned to play the downbeat of a triplet and the upbeat, those stress points are pretty recognizable, and they're pretty well documented in most musics we would play that would be a triplet-based style of music. However, that middle beat of the triplet can be so elusive. So this is going to be a slow exercise with some methodical counting and making sure that you really stand above everything that we're going through. So if we look at exercise 1, I have 1 bar of quarter notes. Then I have on my second bar, I'm basically just playing the middle beat of my triplets. So it's written out as an eighth note triplet rest and a quarter note triplet, but that quarter note triplet takes the N and Li into it. So that's how that's going to be counted, just the middle beat of the triplet. And bar 3 is going to be the upbeat of the triplet. So, you're going to meander in from playing. I'm going to play 1, 2, 3, 4 to 1 and Li 2 and Li 3 and Li 4 and Li 1, Li 2, Li 3, Li 4, Li 1, 2, 3, etc. Now, I would suggest that when we do this, you're going to play some quarter note bass drums. So that's going to be the case on these. But we'll look at those in a minute. We'll find some good attached BPMs to stand by on these. Looking ahead to exercise 2, now we've taken all the partials of 16th notes, examining them very closely. So again, with our quarter note on the first bar, and then going to 1 E ant and 2 E ant and 3 E ant and 4 E ant, or 1 E ant and 2 E ant, 3 E ant and 4 E ant, or 1 E ant, 2 E ant, 3 E ant, 4 E ant, 1. So again, that's a little quicker than I think we should go through it, because I want you to be able to systematically count those 16th notes like you are a metronome. In other words, your subdivision should be 1 E, 2 E, 3. Let's not get lazy with our count. Really try to find a really great placement verbally as we go through the process. This again is using verbal skills with our playing skills and identifying all the partials that go with 16th notes on exercise 2. Let's see what we got in exercise 3. Exercise 3, I wanted to throw a little turmoil into the exercise by putting the middle beat of the triplets and the E's of 16th notes, because as you're playing those, they are so closely spaced, you can almost feel that they're the same. So we want to be able to subdivide our count of triplets, and then immediately on beat 3 and 4, subdivide our 16th note count. So if I did it slowly, 1 and Li 2 and Li 3 E and 4 E and 1 and Li 2 and Li 3 E and 4 E and oh my Lord, that is a challenge. So that's what we're up against in exercise 3, and I just did that, and the second bar I put the Li of the triplets, or the of the triplets, and the of 16th notes. That's probably where we want to sit with more counting, 1 and Li, and then the 16th notes, 3 E and so that we can make a clear distinction between what does Li mean and what does mean. If I'm counting my triplets 1 and then I'm counting my 16th notes as 3 E and there may be a little disconnect with our brain. We may not really fully accept that they're different. So let's distinguish them by counting them in our true triplet format and our true 16th note format, and see how that affects how you're able to subdivide with good clarity. Exercise 4 was, again, just playing the game with some rhythmic breakdowns. I have eighth notes on the ands of 1 and 2, and I have the upbeat of triplets on the 3 and the 4. So I would count 1 and 2 and 3 and leave 4 and leave 1 and 2 and 3 and leave 4 and leave. And remember, exercise 3 and 4 are broken up into each individual bar. We want to just really sit with that one bar and get really into the subdivisions that are going on. So if you want to connect them after the fact, by all means. But right now, stand with each bar as a separate exercise. When I look at the second bar of exercise 4, I have an E and an E on 1 and 2, and a Lee and a Lee on beat 3 and 4. So that would be 1 E and 2 E and 3 and Lee 4 and Lee 1 E and 2 E and 3 and Lee 4 and Lee. Woo, man. So you see what you're up against. The more you can learn to count and gather a really good headspace and body connection to what's going on with subdivisions, it's going to make your world a lot easier. So this is one of those exercises that you really got to just be patient with, but get your verbal skills together. So as we go through this, give me comments. I want to see what was difficult for you to articulate as you're counting, because it's not easy to speak those out with clarity. But this is your new language. This is the language of music, so you really have to bring it up to a new level and forge new territory in your development as a musician who just chose to play drums, right? All right, so let's look at exercise 5 and see what we have here notation-wise. On exercise 5, I wanted to play a game with a couple of notations. So the notation on the first half of the bar is 1, 2, and, right? So 1 E and 2 E and. The second half of the bar is quarter note triplets. It's very easy to sort of allow that 1 E and 2 E and to almost feel like a quarter note triplet, but it's not really. It's still based on 16th notes. So I wanted to break those two rhythms because they're close enough in nature where you could feel and identify, again, through subdividing, the clarity of what's going on. 1 2 E and 3 and leave 4 and 1 2 and 3 leave and oh man, this is going to be a good one. And the second bar, same idea, but on the second half of the bar, I did that what I called the inner quarter note triplet. If you remember back to our jazz exercises of comping. So now I have my 16th notes starting on 1 E and 2 E and 3 and leave 4 and leave. All right, so let's dig in. I'm going to take the pad off when we look at these. I'm going to sit and play a good quarter note bass drum so we can hear exactly what's going on. So hang on, here we go, and let's dig deep with these exercises. Exercise 1. Well, honestly, I'm going to say let's start at 50 BPM. This is a good one where you really want to set your metronome to a triplet subdivision so that you don't get lost. You could think of it again as in 3/4 time with your triplets being 1 2 3 1 2 3, and when you're playing the middle beat of the triplet, it's beat 2. If you're playing the upbeat, it's beat 3, and the downbeat, beat 1. So if you want to look at it in that larger perspective, honor that, because all the triplet is a microcosm of 3/4, essentially, if you want to look at it like that. So, and that's how I think of things. They're all mathematically related. But here we go. 50 BPM, nice and slow. 1, lead 2, lead 3, and lead 4, and lead 1. 1 and lead 2, lead 3, and lead 4, and lead 1, lead 2, lead 3, lead 4, and lead 1. 1. Now I went and played bar to bar, but it would be really responsible just to sit with bar 1, bar 2, and bar 3 by itself. Now you say, well, I already know how to play quarter notes. But if you're looking to ascertain a better placement with the metronome, because now in today's world, we all have to learn to play to a click track. It's just how it is. And I remember talking to my friend Mark Schulman when he was studying up for the rock group Foreigner. And that drummer was great. I love that drummer, Dennis Elliott, the original drummer from Foreigner. Mark would say, yeah, I was listening and you can hear like things moving a little bit. Yeah, but that's how it was. There's nothing wrong with a little movement with your time. But now we've become so precise with metronomes and recording to Pro Tools or recording to Logic that it is really our responsibility to get our metronome playing together so that you really feel like you can play with the click. Now, there's some guys who are steadfast on burying that click and getting so exact with it. I kind of use it more as a guide. I can play on top of it directly when I need to, but if it's something that has a looser feel, I want it to feel like I'm playing without a click, even though there's a click there. That's just the guide to keep me in line. And so the sensibility of learning that is very important. So playing these slow and getting exact on top of the click will be a benefit to your time playing. So look at exercise 1 as 3 exercises individually, but then again, play them in succession. I would suggest you play them 2 bars to 2 bars to 2 bars. So in other words, you play 1 bar twice, the second bar twice, and the third bar twice. And if you get comfortable, mix and match, okay? So now let's look at exercise 2. So let's put Taylor on notification. 40 BPM, sir. So Taylor's in there in the control booth. He's like running around going, wait, 40, 40. Yeah, he's got it, man. He's on it. So now we're going to take this real slow so we can subdivide our 16th notes with amazing accuracy. I want you to be able to articulate your 16th notes really clean and clear. Here we go. 1, a 2 E, and a 3 E, and the first bar is a 1 E, and a 2 E, and a 3, and count out every 16th note, and 2 E, and a 3, 4 E, and a 1 E, and a 2 E, and a 3 E, and a 4. Let's go one more bar, 2, and now let's go to bar 2, and 1 E, and a 2 E, and a 3 E, and a 4 E, and a 1 E, and a 2 E, and a 3 E, and a 4 E, and a 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and a 1, and a 2, and a 3, and a bar 3, 1 E, and a 2 E, and a 3 E, 4 E, a 1 E, and 2 E, and a 3 E, 4, and a 1 E, and 2 E, and a 3 E, and a 4 E, and a 1, a 2 E, and now the last bar, and 1 E, and a 2 E, and a 3 E, and a 4 E, and a 1 E, and a 3 E, and a 4 E, and a 1 E, and a 2 E, and a 3 E, and a 4 E, and a 1, a 2 E, and a 3 E, and a 4 E, and a 1. Wow, tough, really tough. But a great exercise. If you can hang tight and really do that on a regular basis, man, your time, your space, and your verbal articulation to document what you're playing will be so much further along. So hang tight with that one. I know that's difficult, but that's part of the process. Mark Schulman will tell you, he had an incident where he came to audition for a band, and his time was all over the place. And the keyboardist got really down on him as he was auditioning, threw a metronome at him and freaked him out. And it really broke his spirit for a moment. But Mark's that kind of guy who gets right back on his horse, and he said, I'm never going to let that happen again. And he proceeded to do similar exercises like this, but clapping. We're just going to play it to the snare drum. You could clap it as well. It's one of those things when you're sitting in your car, you could be hanging out at the stoplight going 1 E and 2 E and people will be looking at you going, what the heck is this guy doing? Practicing. That's what you're doing. All right, so let's now look at exercise 3. Let's stay at 40 BPM. This is going to be challenging because now we're going to be separating our triplets and our 16th notes. So get ready to go, man, and count your triplets. This is going to be so difficult because we're breaking up this bar into 2 subdivisions. The first 2 subdivisions are the 8th note triplets, playing the middle beat, and the second 2 subdivisions on beat 3 and 4 are the E of 16th notes. I'm already feeling stressed, man. All right, here we go. 1, a 2, a 3, and 4, and 1, and lead 2, and lead 3, and a 4, and a 1, lead 2, and Lee, 3 and a 4 and a 1 and Lee, 2 and Lee, 3 and a 4 and a 1 and Lee, 2 and Lee, 3 and a 4 and a 1. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Let's try that one again. I'm just going to push it a little bit. Let's put it up to 60 and see how that transmits. I don't want you to cheat and try to do it fast. I want you to sit slow because that's so challenging to get the perfect placement of the eighth note triplets. And now you can't rely on subdivisions because you're changing. Unless you have a cool metronome where you can program 2 beats of eighth note triplets to 2 beats of 16th note subdivisions, and I know there are probably apps that do that. I don't have one. You're talking at a technically challenged dude with the latest of technologies. But so if they have that, certainly comment below. Let us all know in the forum downstairs here so that everybody goes, hey man, what app is that? Because if you got a good app, share it with everybody so that they know and can get their metronome apps up to par with where you're at. So here we go. Let's try that at 60 BPM. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, lead, 2, lead. Man. Okay, so I was playing it with one hand, that's fine too. I'm not really fixated on playing with left, right, or left hand only. Whatever feels comfortable. It's really more about gauging the verbal count and the placement of the note. That's really what it's all about. So if you do it with one hand, that's fine. Just make sure that you're as spot on as you possibly can be. Let's take a look now at exercise 3, the second measure. Let's do that at 60 BPM again. So now we have the Lee of the triplet for the first 2 beats and the of the 16th notes for beat 3 and beat 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1, 1. Almost indiscernible whether that's an of a triplet or of a 16th note. So that's why, that's 60. That's a little pushy. I would sit back on a little bit more so you can really feel the 1 and Lee 2 E and 3 and Lee 4 E and 1. And even there, it's like, wait a minute, I can't hear the difference. When you're counting and subdividing, you will. And there's a lot of phrasings that I do that meander between triplets and 16th notes, and it becomes just like stretching fabric, basically, with your phrasing. Let's look at exercise 4. We have the an on 1, the an on 2, and then we have the or Lee of triplet on 3 and the Lee of triplet on 4. Here we go, 60 BPM. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 3, and 4, and 3, and 4, and 3, and 3, and See, I already feel disheveled there. I would want to sit and just really focus in to make sure that I'm clear and clean. So, again, I'm not ever proposing that I'm some guy who's got all my stuff together. I am the quintessential student as well. I am walking through this walk of developing and practicing regularly. So remember that. It's not about getting to a certain space. There are so many examples of great players who continue to pursue and study the instrument, get deeper into what they can already do, and add to their vocabulary, add to the whatever it is they're looking to pursue in their development. It's just nonstop. There's so much stuff to engage in. That's the joy of being a drummer. Exercise 4, the second bar. Let's take a look at that one. Let's see how disheveled I might feel on this one. I have the E and the E of 1 and 2, and I have the of triplet 3 and 4. Can I hang? Let's see, 60 BPM. How well placed are my 16th notes in triplets? We'll see. Let's do it. 1, 2, 3 E and 4 E and 1, 2, 3 and 4. So I had a few of the upbeat triplets that were just slightly out of place, as you could maybe hear. And so I wanted to really lock into that. And I defaulted to letting my weight fall into the time. That sometimes helps to really ground me with where things sit. So, okay, now we got to look at exercise 5. These are getting a little tougher because those two rhythms of the first half of the bar and the second half of the bar, they're sort of close. They're different notation, but they're close in feel. So let's hang with our 60 BPM and let's look at exercise 5. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1. Again, there was some stuff a little bit slightly out of place, so I'm going to send you guys my video, and you guys will give me my feedback and let me know how I'm doing. No, something like that. Now, again, in the throes of what I do, it has been practiced quite a bit, so it has developed to a certain space. But bringing myself back to these roots reminds me how important these building blocks are. So remember that. Each of our building blocks are always set up to revisit at a later date. So now let's take a look at exercise 5, the second bar. And again, we'll put that at 60 BPM and see if I can hang and get really solid placement with my 16th notes and my inner quarter note triplet. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1. Again, certain things a little bit out of place. My advice for everybody is really try to adopt the count. Really be methodical about your count. It may be challenging because to count from 8th note triplets to 16th notes is not an easy prospect. Subdivisions and rhythms are so important. So they're not necessarily about how do I stick this and how do I play this, but the conceptual idea of rhythm is what we are pursuing. So, what are the assignments for this week? I thought you'd never ask. Well, for you beginning guys, I want you to be able to make sure that you could do exercise 1 and exercise 2. Really make that a serious mantra of getting your subdivisions of the 16th notes and your subdivisions of your 8th note triplets. Make sure that they're spot on as best you can be. Get your metronome setting to represent an easy count so that you could count all your 16th notes and not feel like you're challenged with your articulation of speaking it out. For you intermediate guys, let's go one step into exercise 1, of course, exercise 2, and let's at least get into exercise 3 and 4. If you can hang there, you're pretty solid. For you advanced guys, of course, all 5 exercises. And I'd like you to be able to play when you get to exercise 4 and exercise 5 is try to play it as a flow. See if you can increase the level of what you can do so that all of a sudden now you're pitted into this, wow, I got to play all these phrases and subdivide and different placements of notes. Feedback in the comments below. Where did you struggle? How did you feel? Were you successfully able to subdivide your triplets and 16th notes with a sense of ease? Was it challenging? How difficult is it to count these phrases, you know, and without kicking your teeth out of your mouth with your tongue? Let me know how it's going. This is a great lesson for you guys, and this is something for your lifelong ambition and path of developing your musicianship. We are towards the end, man. I'll see you next week for the last lesson of the series. I'm really looking forward to seeing you guys next week, seeing how everything transpired. Peace out. See you next week.